Welcome to Midweek Mystery, where I share with you whatever project and tips and tricks are on my desk this week.
Welcome back, everybody. It is midweek, and what is on my desk this week is the journal that I've been making for dephemerember. Now, if you saw my scrap busting video on Sunday, you will know that I've been using this piece of packaging and book pages and odds and ends of scrapbook paper and packaging that are around my room, and I have created the pages and the start of the cover, and I will link that video below, so if you want to go back and see from the beginning you can do. But what I'm going to be doing today is to finish off this cover, hopefully. Now, as I was explaining on Sunday, I have chosen to keep these signatures a bit like a traveller's journal at the moment, and put them on elastic, and then at the end of the dephemerember challenge I'm going to decide whether to stitch them in or whether to in fact leave them. But the reason I'm doing that is what that means is that I can take pages in and out as I'm working on them if I want to, or I can swap them around, I can stitch them, I can, you know, I find it easier to work on them if I can take them out of the journal. So there's my pages. I opted for 3 signatures in the end. So I have 3 signatures of 1, 2, 3, 4, so 8 pages, which gives me 16 sides in each signature. So that's going to be absolutely plenty. I do sometimes like to do a double spread during challenges, so I've got plenty of space and things to work there. So I'll link last Sunday's video below, so if you want to go back and see how I made these pages and how this cover started off, you can do. But I'm going to put those to the side for a minute, and I'm actually going to take these pieces of elastic off, which is a little bit of a mission because of course the spine is smaller, so I have to just bend the cover slightly, and I'm hoping I'm still going to be able to do that when I've finished it. So we'll put those to the side for a minute. Now I want to try something that I've not done before for the cover for this journal. I've watched a whole load of videos, and I'm not going to link anyone in particular because what I'm doing today is probably a mixture of everything that I've seen. But if you search making faux leather or faux leather journal cover, you will find lots of how-to videos if you want to see anything other than this one. But so that's what I'm going to do. So this is the same packaging material that I used for some of my pages. Let me see if I can find one to show you. Yeah, there you go. So I cut some of my pages from this packaging material, and this is another couple of pieces, and I've cut this to be obviously plenty big enough to cover the outside of my journal. So this is going to be my journal like this. Now what I have done, and because I've never done this before, I've tried a couple of different methods. So this one, yeah, I've got 2 here. So this one I have painted with coffee. If you remember on Sunday I had this cup of quite strong coffee sitting on my desk that I was using to paint the back of some of the scrapbook card pages, which were very stark white, and as you can see it's still sitting here. And I've used that to paint this side, so you can see that was the original. This has had I think 2 coats of the coffee on it. And this one I've done with paint, and if you hang on a second, burnt umber was the colour that I used. So again you can see the difference from the original to what it is now. Excuse me. So they're both dry, and I'm doing the 2 because I thought, well, why not? I will always use the second piece, but also I wasn't sure which I would prefer. I've seen them done with coffee, I've seen them done with paint. So the next thing I'm going to do is to give these a really good scratch and sort of give them a because you want to have lots of crinkles in them. There's that one. This one I've already done a little bit of work on. I'll do it again. Let's have a look. Yeah. Right, so then the next stage is to take an ink pad. And I've got, I'm using archival ink because that way we're going to put moisture on this in a minute, and that way it won't, or it shouldn't run. Now this is quite an old ink pad, but it has this lovely hinge lid that clips off. And what you want to do when you're making faux leather is just to run your ink pad over the top of your paper, and this is why it needs to be crinkled, because what you're wanting to do is to just pick up the ink on some of those raised areas. And you see how that's starting to pick it up, and if you go in different directions you'll pick up different folds. There we go. You see that? So I'm going to put that to the side to dry, and I'm going to do the same on this one, which is my coffee, my one that's been coloured with coffee. Oh, excuse me. So again, I'm going in different directions, and you'll notice that it picks up different folds. Now, what I'm also going to do with this one is to try using a second colour ink as well. So I'm just going to grab my green ink, and again this is an archival ink, which means it's going to be water resistant, and I'm going to do the same thing. And in fact what I might do is give it another crunch up in the hope that I get different crinkles. Now this is the other reason that I've done two pieces of paper, is because I wanted to try the two, one with just one colour and one using two colours, just to see what I liked best. There we go. Now, as with a lot of these things, I guess the important thing is knowing when to stop, which is often a problem for me. I'm going to leave it at that for now. I can always come back and add some more later. Now, the reason I've chosen green is that I also want to incorporate some fabric on my journal cover. And you see, I picked this up in the op shop the other day in a thrift store for $3, and you can see I haven't even opened it yet. But there's 3 different pieces of fabric in here as far as I can see. And I thought they were really gorgeous, kind of vintagey. Yeah, look at those. Oh, I love that one. So what I was hoping is that one of these, yeah, they're all big enough actually. One of these is going to be suitable. Gosh, what a bargain. Look, that's beautiful, like quilting type cotton. Now this is a little illustration about why I like going to the op shops and things rather than buying new. And that bigger plain green piece. So that's why, and that was all for $3. So that's why I've used the green ink, because if I choose to use this piece, it's going to tone in with any of those. All right, so let's put those to the side for a minute so that they don't get inky. Now, the next thing you do at this stage is to massage your packing material or whatever you've used with something that's going to soften it. Now, some of the videos I saw used glycerine, some used hand cream, some I saw used more of an oil, and another one used conditioner, hair conditioner. Now, I've got hair conditioner and I don't particularly use it. So I thought for me, that's what I would use. So here we go. I'm just going to try a little bit to start with. I don't know how much to use, but you massage this in and it gets a really soft, almost fabric feel. So I've seen, and you're going, how do you know that if you've never done it? Because I've seen pieces that have been done. I've just never done it myself. Yeah, so that amount of conditioner you saw me use there was absolutely plenty. And ooh, actually this smells nice. What is it? Herbal essences. There you go. I don't quite know how I came to have it. All right, and already that's starting to get a lovely soft feel. Now I'm going to turn it over and do the same on the other side. And then I'm going to leave it to dry. So I'm going to do that with both of these pieces. And as you can see, I'm scrunching it up, really massaging that, that conditioner in. I'll have a look at this bit and then I'll go away and do the other bit. There we go. Now, obviously you can't, it's not feel-o-vision, unfortunately. You can't feel that, but trust me, that's lovely, soft. It's almost fabric-like now in its feel. Well, I'm going to pop that bit to dry off and I'm going to do the other piece and then we'll come back. All right, so I've done both those pieces and they're now dry. This is the one that I did with the paint. Now, I meant to say to you, I used burnt umber, but this is actually quite a dark burnt umber, I think. But what I did do was mix it and thinned it down with water, so that it was really quite a thin coat of paint on there, just so that it wasn't too dark. Okay, so that's that one that I did with the paint. And the other thing I did differently with this one, I put the conditioner into my hands and then rubbed it all over on both sides, and I love the way that one's come out. Yeah, I'm really pleased with that, and it has got that lovely smooth feel. Now, this was the other one. This was the one I painted with coffee. Now, when I scrunched this one up, instead of putting the conditioner into my hands, I put it in a couple of blobs on the paper itself. And when I do this again, I would put it into my hands first. I felt like it worked better. There are some patches in here which just feel a bit too smooth, if that makes sense. I feel like they've lost their texture, and they were harder to dry. It wasn't the conditioner didn't go as evenly across the paper because I just popped it in two blobs instead of in my hands, which makes sense when you think about it. So there's my tip for you. Put it into your hands, not straight onto the paper. The other thing to be mindful of, you'll see here, I've got a little split. Now, I mean, for a journal cover that doesn't particularly matter because I can glue it down or I can cover it with something. But do be mindful that when your paper is wet with your whatever you're putting on it, your conditioner, your hand cream, whatever, it does become quite fragile. So do be mindful of that. Okay, so now I need to make a decision which bit I want to use, and I need to come up with a design for my cover. So I'm going to spend a few moments thinking about that, and then I will come back. All right, so I've opted for the combination of that first piece of packaging that I did with the paint and this fabric. But what I also want to do, there's two things I want to do. I have cut a piece of card, and this is just the back of an old greetings card, and I want to use this to reinforce the spine because the spines have a little bit of a fold in the middle here. So I'm just looking for some glue. Okay, so I'm just going to glue this reinforcing piece in the middle for the spine. There we go. Just trim that little bit there. There we are. So it's a spine nice and strong. Now, the other thing I quite fancy for my cover is a little bit of padding before I put this on. I wanted to sort of feel like, do you remember those old journals that had the padded leather covers? And I've got this scrap of wadding, which is just a quilting wadding. Now it's not quite big enough, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to pad the spine, if that makes sense. So I'm going to cut this. I'm just going to cut it roughly. Make more sense if I did that, wouldn't it? Gosh, left my brains at home this morning, obviously. And we need to come there, which is the spine. There. Okay. And then we should be able to do that again for the other side. Okay, so as you can see, I've glued those two pieces together, or three pieces together really. So we've got the packaging cover, we've got the wadding, and we've got the packing that we've done as faux leather. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim round, leaving about 1/2 inch, maybe a little bit more in places. Just to take that excess, and I'm going to hang on to these pieces because, you know, they'll be great for collage or anything like that. There we go. Right, now what I'm going to do is to snip all the way around like this, not quite up to the edge. I'm not sure about those end bits at the moment, so I'll think about those in a minute. When I say not quite up to the edge, I mean not quite to the edge of the journal cover. Okay, and what I'm going to do is glue all the way around here, and my silicone glue has just run out, as you probably saw, and I don't have any more. So this is quite a strong glue. It's probably the same strength as Fabri-Tac or art glitter glue, and I'm going to do a little section at a time like this. I'm going to pull those ends over. And as you can see, as you go round the curve, the pieces overlap. But because you've snipped, I'm just going to get my smaller scissors. Because you've snipped up to the cover, then they will just overlap and you'll get that nice smooth edge there. Now I could go around and glue these down, but that's going to be covered, so I'm not too worried. And I'm thinking that this piece might just go down in one. Yep. And then we'll do exactly the same here. Some of those haven't gone quite, sorry, my arm's probably in the way there. Some of these haven't quite gone up to the edge, so I'll just, right. Goodness me, I need to refill this bottle as well, don't I? So again, we're just overlapping where we need to. And if you feel like it needs a bit more glue there to hold it down, you can do that. But I'm pulling it reasonably tight. Because what I want is that nice kind of padded look. All right, so I'm going to carry on and do the other side as well. And then I'll think about what I'm going to do with the fabric. Do you know what? After much fiddling around, I've changed my mind and I'm not going to use that fabric. I think I was dead keen on using it because I'd bought it recently and it was beautiful and I want to use it, but it's not going to work in the way I wanted it to, and that's okay. It's okay to change your mind when you get part way through something. So what I have pulled out instead, two things. I've got this, which is a piece of scrapbook paper that came again in a pack that I bought at the charity shop, pack of random stuff, and I've also got this burlap ribbon, again you can see it came from the op shop. Now this says it's adhesive, but I think this might be quite old because when I've actually opened it, I'll take this off. When I've actually opened it, I think what was the is a little bit adhesive there, but a lot of it has lost its adhesiveness. Now that's actually quite useful for what I want to do with it. So what I've decided is that I'm going to leave the cover like that for now. I'm going to attach burlap ribbon like this. I'll take those odd bits off. There we go. And I'm going to leave quite a bit at the ends, here and here. So I'm going to leave quite a bit of overlap. And once I know how chunky my journal is going to be, I will fashion them into a closure. I think sometimes we rush to do the covers of our journals right at the beginning, when actually we don't know how much stuff's going to be in them, and particularly for a challenge like this where in dephemerember you're putting lots and lots of things into the journal, it can be quite chunky, and I know that from experience from last year's challenge. So I'm actually not going to finish the closure until the end of the challenge, but what I am going to do today to finish this cover off is I'm going to use this piece of paper, with this lovely pattern on, and I'm going to use it to line the inside. Now I'm actually going to do that in 3 segments, so I'm going to use my original template that I used for my pages, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces to fit here, and then I'm also going to cut a piece to fit in the middle. Now this is lovely double-sided, and what I want to do is just to take this piece off and save it and use this piece with this side showing, and hopefully that will give me enough to line the inside. So I'll cut those bits out and then I'll be back. Right, well, that was interesting. Should have been simple. What I forgot was that it was a directional pattern, so I've ended up with 2 pieces going the other way. Fortunately, I had a second piece the same, so I've cut another one, and this one I have traced the middle section, the spine on the back there, so I'll cut that out. But I did manage to save this lovely piece that was going down the side, and I'm going to put that away, and I'm sure that we will use that at some stage in making something else, or indeed to go in this journal for dephemerember. So if you've not heard of dephemerember, it's a challenge that's been running a couple of years, I think, and it's run by Louise Heinzel and Barbara from 49 Dragonflies, and I'll link their channels below. And last year I thought it was just weekdays, but actually it was just 4 days a week. So we had 4 prompts a week to create a piece of ephemera from that prompt. And Louise and Barbara both did that too. Great fun. So I do encourage you to have a look at their channels and join in December if you can. Now, the other thing I did whilst I was cutting those was to fill up my little glue bottle. I buy this glue in quite big bottles, and I find it easier to work with a little bottle. And when I'm filling up these tiny little bottles, I grab a piece of I'll show you, a small piece of acetate, and just roll it into a cone like this. Don't know whether you can see that on the camera. So roll it into a cone shape and put it into the top of your bottle to enable you. It makes like a little funnel. But of course you always end up with the glue left on the acetate. So for this I'm just going to use a brush and spread it rather than straight from the little bottle, because I don't want to waste this glue. Right, let's get this middle section the right way up. Well, this glue is great because you do get just a little bit of wiggle room, not a lot. I may have to trim just a little bit off there in a minute. That's all right. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to do 2 things to finish this off. Oh, I'm just going to, what I am going to do, I'm actually just going to very carefully use this, and I'm going to crease along there where the fold is. Started to have a sort out in my craft room, and I'd found all sorts of things like this. Right, let me just put that brush into soak, because otherwise it will be no good. Now I'm going to find a little bit of washi tape and just cover these seams. So this is not very wide, but what I've discovered is that I don't have any wider brown coloured washi tape. So there you go. I'm not too worried, because what I was going to say was what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use my sewing machine, and I'm going to go all the way, I'm going to stitch all the way around the edge on this journal and trim these pieces off. Alright, so as you can see, I've stitched all round the edge there, and I might have to do something different with that, but we'll see how that goes. I really love this. I wish you could feel this. It's got just that little bit of padding in, and it's got a gorgeous feel to it. Okay, the other thing I have done is to cut a length of that burlap. As you can see, this was where the sticky had gone and deteriorated. It is still sticky underneath this piece of paper. So what I'm going to do, and you'll see on this end I've attached a little button. I rummaged through my buttons and I found this one. Let me see, can you see that? Yeah, and it says handmade with love, and I thought that was rather appropriate. So I'm going to stick this on here, and I'm going to go all the way around, and then this bit that is not sticky I'm going to leave for now, and when the journal's finished and I know how big it's going to be, I can cut this off, and I'm going to make a buttonhole to go on that button. So yes, there's a bit extra there at the moment, but I don't want to cut that off until I know how big the journal's going to be. So let's get this stuck on. Now when I pull this off, I don't know how sticky it is going to be, so I may add some glue as well. Let's see. It does appear to be quite firm. Now let's check that pattern's the right way up. So that is the front. Now I'm just looking to make sure that I like that roughly in the middle. So what I can feel is that it's not terribly sticky. So I am just going to, yeah, some bits of it are sticky and some are not, so I'm going to add some extra, where am I going to, about there, I'm going to add some extra glue on there. Now I'm doing that with the cover bent like that, because if I do it with it flat, it won't then bend to close. Does that make sense? So I'm going to let that dry. I'm going to squeeze a little bit more glue under there, and then I'm going to let this dry in that position. Okay. I just went to throw that away. That might be quite useful. Oh dear, it gets terrible, doesn't it? You just keep everything. Right, we'll put that in the scraps box. Okay. So in essence, that's the journal finished for now. And as I say, yeah, I know there's a lot extra there, but I want enough to be able to do a buttonhole. Probably that would be enough there, but we'll see. I'd rather have too much than not enough. So there's a journal. I'm going to do one more thing today. I'm going to use this, which was the label that came off that burlap, and I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it about here. So it's straight. Let's have a look on my map, on my mat. Yep. Okay. What I'm going to do is to use these offcuts of that sort of faux leather that I made. And I'm just going to collage this tag, or I'm going to turn it into a tag anyway. Grab my brush. Actually, probably Mod Podge would be better for this. Let's not be lazy. There we go. Okay, so my plan with this is that this will go on the front with dephemerember 2025 on it. But what I wanted to show you just before we finish is the difference. Now this, I've been using matte Mod Podge, but it does have a little bit of a shine, and you can see the difference. This is the same paper, and it does give it more of a leathery look. And I don't know whether this is a step that I've missed, or whether it's sort of an optional, just gives you a different look. But I'm thinking that I might very carefully paint this with, give this a coat of the Mod Podge, because it does just give it that little bit, it is a more leathery sort of look and feel. So I'll do that and dry it and come back and show you the last bit, and then we'll finish up for today. All right, so what I've done is I've just given that a thin coat of Mod Podge, and I've dried it off with my hairdryer, and I've just tried to be really careful not to stick too much of the burlap down. Now clearly that would have been easier to do before I put the burlap on, and I was sitting here thinking as I was using my hairdryer on this, I do think that might have been a step in some of the videos that I did watch, because that really has given it much more, excuse me, much more of a leathery look, and I really quite like that. So there you go. Learn from my mistakes. All right, let's get these pages back in. Oh, and by the way, the bits that I used on the tag, they've just come off the edge of the burlap that I frayed off before I put it on. So as I say, that's going to go on the front. But for now, let's get our signatures in. And now this is going to be a little bit of a interesting, whether I have to retie these bits of elastic or whether I can still. Okay, looks like I can still get them in. So remembering these are not necessarily going to be permanent. And if they do turn out to be permanent, I will colour the elastic so that it's not that stark white, because that's not going to look good against the outside. But they're potentially a temporary thing for now until the journal's finished. Right. As I'm putting these in, one of the things I was talking about in my video on Sunday was that I'm going to be taking a break in November, just a break from videoing for the month. I will still be doing the full deck challenge, which is one altered playing card a week in response to a prompt that we're given. But I'm going to be taking a break from other videos. There's just some, it's a little bit of self-care, but it's also, there is just some other stuff I need to get done. Life is starting to get in the way. But I also want to use that time to start planning for the new year, and also doing a bit of research and thinking about finding a way to share some printables and things with you. So if there are things you would like to see in the new year, please do drop me a line, leave a comment below. What would you like to see more of, or what would you like to see that I've not done so far? Some of the stuff I'm actually going off to do this next month is some of the other not hobbies, but some of the other crafts I do, and that's some felting and some eco printing in particular, as well as catching up on a big pile of sewing and mending that's here on my floor by my desk. But I'm not sure how to film the sewing, the felting and the eco printing, but if I can figure it out, then I'll pop some videos up of those things as well. But you don't panic if you don't see so much of me during November. I am just taking a break, getting myself sorted out, and of course then we'll be back for dephemerember, which is a big month-long commitment. So here is the journal for dephemerember. That will be going on the front there. As I say, this elastic is temporary, but we have our signatures in here. So 3 signatures, all our different papers. Trying to keep a bit of a consistency with colours and things, but my journals do turn out to be fairly eclectic normally. So who knows what will happen. Alright, so there we are. There's our journal ready for dephemerember. And for now we can tuck that under that elastic and that in under there, and we're going to call that done. Thank you very much for watching, folks. Thank you for your support over these last few months. It's been amazing to see my subscriber base grow and people watching these videos. So as I say, if there's more things that you'd like to see, do let me know. But for now, thank you so much. Stay safe. I will be back once a week with the full deck challenge, so don't forget to have a look at that. But in the meantime, cookie day and all.